Hi, this is Brad Linder with Liliputing, and I wanted to do a quick overview of Android 5.0 Lollipop. This is the Google Nexus 9 tablet. It's one of the first tablets to ship with Lollipop, and it's, you can see here's the lock screen. If I had any notifications, you would actually be able to see them on the lock screen and even dismiss them or interact with them. That's something new, and it's something optional, so if you have items that you don't want to show up on your lock screen without being able to unlock your device, you can hide those. So go ahead and open up, and you can see here that we've got home screen, which looks pretty similar to what you had on earlier versions of Android, but the buttons are a little bit different. We've got back, home, and this is a recent apps button. It doesn't look like two boxes, it's now just one box. Pull down from the top and you still get notifications, but instead of pulling down from this side to have settings and this side to have notifications, there's pull once for notifications, pull twice for your quick settings panel. Let's go ahead and adjust the brightness so you can see a little bit better here. And in that quick settings panel, we've got brightness controls, volume, Bluetooth toggles, airplane mode, auto rotate toggle, locations, and cast screen. So if you're using a Chromecast or any other device with Google Cast support, you can mirror your display. There's also now a flashlight, which lets you turn on the LED flash on the back of the device. That's something that we used to see in custom ROMs, but now it's built in. So if you've got a device that supports that feature, has an LED flash, you can use the flashlight toggle. It's not as customizable as some devices. So if you had a custom ROM and you wanted to be able to sort of swap out your quick settings panel the way you could with CyanogenMod or some other software, you can't do that. But it does give you a couple more options. Another new thing here is that on the first swipe, you can see the battery and the Wi-Fi connectivity. Second swipe, you now have a battery percentage. Let's see if you can see that a little bit better here. First swipe, second swipe. And you'll also notice there's a user guy here, user icon over here. From here, you can add multiple users and create separate profiles for different users, or you can add a guest profile. Let's go ahead and do that. You can see it's switching to guest profile. And now we unlock the device. And instead of seeing my apps and settings, you see a brand new desktop with just sort of the default apps and settings. So in the guest profile, people can't interact with your apps. They won't be able to mess up any of your data. And if we want to switch back, we just hit the little icon again and switch back to Brad. And everything's back the way it was. You can delete the guest profile, or we can switch back to it, and it asks if we want to start over or continue. So if the guest has installed some applications or has some history, they can continue or start over. So let's say continue, and then from here, let's go ahead and remove guest. Let's see what else is new. Well, let's go to the settings, and you'll see that everything has a sort of new color scheme here. So it's brighter, a little bit easier to see, and there's some new options in various places. So for instance, if we go to display, there's an adaptive brightness option. You can turn it on or turn it off, and you can always use this to sort of set your default, but then it goes to adaptive after that. Something else that's new is the battery meter. It shows use since last charge, but it also gives you an idea of how much time you've got left. So based on current usage patterns, it tells me that I've got about 12 hours to last. If I plugged in a power source, it would also tell me how long it's going to take before it's fully charged. And again, bright color scheme, sort of big icons at the top here. That's based on something called material design, and most of Google's applications now use it. So you can see we've got sort of these big bright bars, user interface with a slide out menu. Let's go to another application, play newsstand, and you can see material design in use here as well. And at this point, most of Google's applications, default applications including Gmail, Play Newsstand, Google News, and similar things, the YouTube application, all have material design. We'll start to see more developers using material design in the future, I suspect. Everything's sort of touch-friendly, and the reason it's called material is you sort of have this idea of when you're toggling between things, it's almost like sliding one piece of paper over another. So Just going through my list here, making sure I don't forget anything. Let's take a look at the keyboard. There's a brand new touch keyboard here. You can see that it also is based on material design, and it has this sort of interesting look where there's no space. I mean, there's space between the keys, but you don't see little blank spaces. It takes a little getting used to, but it works pretty well. Getting used to. So I haven't had any problems typing on it, and if you don't want to lift your finger, you can still do gesture-based typing. If you don't like the look of this keyboard, you can go into the settings, go to languages and input, and where's the keyboard? There we go. Keyboard, choose keyboards. That's actually not what I wanted. I wanted this. Appearance, theme, and we have material dark, material light, or hollow blue, hollow white. If we go to hollow, now when we go back to the main screen, you'll see sort of the old-fashioned Google keyboard. Works just the same way, but looks a little bit different. Also in settings, you can go down to About Tablet, and if you tap on the build number like usual, it'll give you developer options, so you can go into those and make changes. And if you go back to About Tablet and double tap on the Android version, you get the Android Easter egg, which in this case, for Android 5.0 Lollipop, is a lollipop. You can also use this there we go, to open a game, which is basically a Floppy Bird or Flappy Bird clone. And just like the original, it's pretty hard. I've never actually gotten more than 1 point. It's also pretty addictive, so I'm going to try and stop playing in a second here. The recent apps menu is been redesigned so that you've got sort of this card-style user interface. Not 100% certain if it's more useful, but it's more fun to flip through than the old version, which had side-by-side icons. Let's see, so we've looked at recents, the keyboard, material design, notifications. You also have more control over how notifications are displayed. So let's go into notifications here and take a quick look at some of the options. You can, of course, change your default volumes and default notifications and so forth. But you can also now choose, do I want to show notifications when the device is locked or not? I can go into individual applications and determine whether to block or show notifications. And when I go to the volume, I can set priority, none, all. And this lets me decide if only priority notifications, for instance, can get through indefinitely or for the next hour. So if you go into a meeting and don't want to get interrupted, you can adjust those settings here as well. Let's see, battery. Oh, security. We should definitely talk about security. If we go into the security settings here, not only do you have the option to lock your screen with a swipe, pattern, pin, require something before somebody can unlock it, but encryption is enabled by default. You can choose whether passwords are displayed or not, device administrators, and so forth. And if we turn on a pattern, let's say we require a pattern, continue. It gives us another option to hide sensitive content and so forth, and we can use the smart lock function, which lets us use trusted faces or trusted devices. So you can set up trusted Bluetooth devices like smartwatches so that you can actually unlock your device just by coming near it when you've got your Bluetooth enabled smartwatch. So that way you don't have to type in the password in order to unlock the device. So definitely a couple more security options. So that's a quick look at some of the new things in Android 5.0 Lollipop. It's got material design, it's got multi-user and guest user profiles, it's got new battery options, a new recent apps menu, more security options. In general, it has a more consistent look and feel, I think, than the earlier versions of Android, and my only real complaint is the swipe down menu. Sometimes it feels like it takes an extra tap to get certain things done, especially on a tablet, where you used to be able to swipe from the right side and the left side for different things. But overall, it's a pretty attractive, useful update to the Android operating system. This is Brad Linder with Liliputing.